Hey guys, my name's Colin and this is my review of the Nike Pegasus Trail 2 Gore-Tex after 150 kilometers. So obviously this is a big departure from the Pegasus Road series as well as the prior Pegasus 36 Trail, but it still maintains that hybrid style which is geared towards a road to trail type of shoe. Alright, let's start things off with the fit. So these run true to size. I'm a size 10.5 in Nike and these are a size 10.5 and they fit just perfect. They have a nice, fairly wide toe box for a Nike, especially compared to the Pegasus Road models. I found the midfoot lockdown to be sufficient. It takes a couple runs to kind of break that in and be able to kind of lock it in a little tighter, but it doesn't take long. And once that fit is dialed in, these are really nice. And unlike some of the Road Pegasus models, the heel lockdown is definitely sufficient and noticeably good compared to just the regular Pegasus. Next up is the traction. So I found the traction on the Pegasus Trail 2s to be pretty good in most conditions. The lug depth isn't crazy or anything because they're still maintaining that hybrid style sneaker. But I took these, obviously they're pretty dirty. I've taken these on pretty much every type of condition that you can imagine and they've performed pretty well. The lack of lug depth was a little bit of a problem in some of the wet and muddy areas. One thing I do kind of wish that they had done is just gone full on trail runner instead of going with the hybrid option. There's an increase in weight in this sneakers, so you might as well have gone full trail runner with these and maybe increased the lug depth a little bit. I think that would have made the traction just that much better and this sneaker that much better as well. But that's just a personal opinion. Overall, the traction is not too bad for what this is. Next up is the cushion. So this is a full-length Nike React midsole. I found a little bit of heel instability just because it's such a fat stack of foam that you're riding on. It's a fairly wide base as well and a wide base here in the heel, but because this heel just kind of dips in on each side here, you get a little bit of instability back and forth this way in the heel, but it wasn't anything that I really noticed that much when I was out on the trails, so I wouldn't necessarily say that's a huge negative. React's becoming pretty popular in most Nike runners now. Most people have probably got a chance to try it. If you have, obviously you know how good it is. It's very resilient, it's very bouncy, super comfortable, and they put a big fat stack into this sneaker. If you're a trail runner and you've ran in a Hoka before and you haven't tried like a Nike trail running sneaker, this feels similar to like a Hoka Speedgoat cushion setup. Hoka's kind of known for that big stack of foam that's really cushy and bouncy. I'd say this iteration of React in the Peg Trail 2s is kind of similar feel to that type of cushion setup. Not to take anything away from the Nike React foam midsole, it's really good, but I do wish that they have maybe kept at least a 4-foot Zoom Air unit here. That's just a personal opinion. Like, Zoom Air is my favorite cushion setup of all time. This is still just a great cushion setup just with the huge stack of React. There's no rock plate in here. It's such a big stack of foam that you don't really need it. I didn't really notice anything. I was running over roots and rocks and all kinds of stuff and it was no problem at all. Next up is the upper. So the upper is obviously a Gore-Tex upper. I went with the Gore-Tex version over the regular version just because I'm going into the start of winter here in Canada and I will be running a lot in the snow and wet. This Gore-Tex upper has been just amazing for those type of conditions. It's not necessarily for everyone, I think, because the Gore-Tex upper is just not breathable. And obviously that's on purpose. It really blocks out the wet and the cold really well. So your foot will tend to get hot and sweaty inside your sneaker a little bit. You just have to weigh your options whether you want the breathability of the regular upper in the Peg Trail 2s or if you want to go with the Gore-Tex version. I think it might also depend on where you live. If you're in a cold climate and a wet climate and you're not necessarily going to be going through rivers where your sneaker needs to be drained out, go with the Gore-Tex version. It's going to keep your foot warm and dry and it performs really well in those harsh conditions. But if you need that breathability and drainage, just pick up the regular upper and I think you'll be better off that way. The upper has this little bit of a gaiter that I didn't find really does much of anything aside from kind of looking cool Also has a little bit of a pull tab that doesn't really work that well either, but it looks cool. It's a gusseted tongue here, so it's strapped in there. It's not going to be moving around very much. There's a little bit of padding here around the Achilles area, and I think it also helps with that heel lockdown, and a pretty significant little rubber area for the toe bumper that helps protect your toes a little bit more. This is a 10mm drop. At least I think it is. I couldn't necessarily see that on the website. Couldn't see the stack heights anywhere either for the heel and the forefoot. Visually you can tell there's a lot of stack in the heel here, but there's also a lot of stack in the forefoot. Next up is the weight. That's one of the only real negatives of this sneaker, especially when you're comparing it to last year's Pegasus 36 Trail version. So the new Pegasus Trail 2 is quite a bit heavier. I think around like a full ounce heavier actually. I think a men's size 10 is actually over 11 ounces. That's just the regular version, so I'm assuming the Gore-Tex might be even a little heavier. Alright, so all that being said, this is still an amazing trail runner. If you like a lot of cushion and a good fit, then the Nike Pegasus Trail 2 is definitely a great option. So that's about it, guys. That's my review of the Nike Pegasus Trail 2 Gore-Tex. I'll end the video with a little footage of me running in the Pegasus Trail 2s. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.